Inside Mount Eden prison, there have been 3 suspected murders in shared cells in the space of just over 12 months. The deaths have raised questions about double bunking and the protocols followed by the prison. One of those allegedly killed by his cellmate was whangarei man Rob Fitzpatrick.
In your mind, Ross, was your brother's death avoidable, and were mistakes made by government agencies?
Yeah, definitely. This whole situation was avoidable.
Corrections says risk assessments are carried out prior to deciding if prisoners are suitable to be bunked together. It's a system now being reviewed. Fitzpatrick was found dead in his cell in June last year.
For that to be his last moments,
Yeah.
and that he was alone, it's so hard to sit with, and I just can't think of anything else we could have done.
Rob, who had mental health issues, had been sending unwanted messages to a woman for a decade. In January 2024, the situation came to a head and Rob was served with a restraining order. Despite this, he kept messaging the complainant. In prison, Rob was buddied up with a man who had been charged with attempted murder in what police described as an extremely violent assault on another man at a Mangere bus stop. The victim in that case was hospitalised but survived.
We just want to know why those clowns running Mount Eden prison, from the top down, from the general manager down to the people who were there, who signed off on a decision, why is he a good candidate to share a cell with someone else?
The families say they have not been told what the corrections assessment entailed or who signed it off in Rob's case. What they do know is that Rob's death in a shared cell is not isolated.
Do you have confidence, Ross, that things have changed or are going to change?
No.
After your brother's death?
No, especially since someone died just before Christmas, same thing, double bunked. I don't know. It's unless they need to change the management there.
Do you think he should still have his job?
No, he shouldn't have his job.
Dion Paki is the manager at Mount Eden Prison. Corrections would not address a question about whether he should resign when asked by the Herald. They cited various investigations and said while the family absolutely deserve answers, they were limited in what they could say right now. When Rob was found unresponsive in his cell, police contacted the family. Corrections, on the other hand, didn't bother calling to explain what happened.
They only contacted us after we wrote letters to anyone who would listen. We haven't heard anything from corrections. They spoke to the media before they spoke to the family.
2 days after Rob's death, Ross wrote to Corrections Minister Mark Mitchell, who acknowledged the lack of contact from Corrections before responding to media added to the family's distress. Only then did Pake pick up the phone.
So I got a phone call on Monday. My brother was killed on the Friday night, and that was from the general manager of the prison, and he offered his sympathies for my brother's passing. That was a word. So you can just imagine my state at that point, saying my brother passed, and then he proceeded to ask me when I can come and pick up his belongings from the prison where my brother was killed at. And there was a person in the background asking that, and I said, well, why do I need to go to the prison? And he said, you need to pick up the brochure on the process of when someone dies in custody. That was their communication to us.
And how would you describe that in hindsight?
Just absolutely appalling.
Corrections apologised and acknowledged we could have done more in trying to contact them sooner, and we are extremely sorry for the distress this caused. In the lead up to his imprisonment, Rob had been on electronic bail in whangarei for breaching the restraining order when he did it again, this time texting a friend of the complainant. The text read, "Hi, coffee?" It was signed Rob F. That was followed by the unintelligible phrase, "invisible throw." It would be enough for police to swoop. His family only knew something was amiss when his parents arrived at Rob's apartment on his birthday.
And then when Mum and Dad got leave for him to come for his birthday, waiting at his apartment was a birthday cake to take him out for lunch, and he's not answering the door. And he never went anywhere, he was always there. And we spent the whole day at that apartment trying to get in, managed to get security to open up the doors because we were worried at that point that he'd got hurt or something. We couldn't find him.
How were your parents coping with that?
It was distress, absolutely distress. And then I managed to get hold of the police and they said he wasn't in police custody.
As it transpired, Rob was already in prison.
And it wasn't until I filled out an online form, I think on the Sunday night, that I had got that back on Monday morning, that we knew that he'd actually been arrested and been held in custody.
And in custody, in a cell, is where Rob died.
It's something that should have never happened in New Zealand.
For Rob Fitzpatrick's family, his death is not solely about seeking accountability and change from corrections. His family are demanding answers from health authorities and police too. Rob had been living with bipolar disorder, a condition which can result in mood shifts, ranging from intense highs involving impulsive, risky behaviour to depressive lows.
Sad seeing him going from a fun-loving guy to where he ended up with his mental health. I was always hoping that once he got the help, I'd be able to, rebuild the relationship with him and get it back to where it was, but that's been taken away from me. And not just me, he's left behind a son who's now doesn't have a father. And so we're doing our best to help him as well.
In the lead up to his imprisonment, Rob was unwell. His family knew it and they tried to get help.
When he started showing signs of being unwell, which as a family we knew very well, and we quite, experienced, unfortunately, of navigating our mental health system. So there were periods that we tried to contact crisis teams to intervene, just when we saw the signs of him not coping, but he never met their threshold for anyone to come and intervene other than someone phoning him. And they were told the only way to get any help is to ring the police.
We all tried, and it was just, like we said before, didn't meet the threshold. And, being told that, sooner or later the cops will pick him up and then he'll come to us. It was always the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff.
Health New Zealand says a serious adverse event review is underway in relation to Fitzpatrick's death. In the meantime, his family are left remembering the good times when Rob was well. His parents remember a young boy with a mop of curls and a fascination for bees. He became a talented sportsman, a father, and had plans for his future.
I tend to think of Rob as being away. That's about the only way I can cope with it most of the time. He's not here. He's just away.
It's just hard to take, that's all. When you wake up in the morning and you forget all about it and then you remember about it, it does not make for a happy life.